Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. Politicians have this habit, practice of using empty talking points and self-aggrandizement of, how well their policies are just or empty talking points are. Right now, Biden is claiming that there are these reports coming out that the economy is growing at the fastest pace since Clinton. And this is absolutely not true. Right now, the stock market is down by 13.81% as of closing on Friday. 51% of surveyed companies say that they are currently laying off or going to be laying off by the end of the year. 51%, that more than half of companies. You got wage freezes, hiring freezes, and on and on. So anyway, here's where I am different. Oh yeah, and the Census Bureau. This isn't, the Census Bureau under Biden, you would think that they want to put out a report that's favorable toward him, but the U.S. Census Bureau reports that 3.8 million American households will probably be evicted within the next 2 months. That means just as winter is coming in. And at the same time, layoffs are happening. Over 8 million American households are behind on their rent right now. Forbes reports that 2/3 of Americans are tapping into savings or using credit cards for mere survival. That doesn't sound like economic growth or health to me, does it to you? So anyway, where I am different is that as we go, right at this minute, I can explain proof of concept for how my policies actually benefit. All right, so on diplomacy. Last week, Russia had to shut down Nord Stream 1 flowing gas into Europe. And they cannot restart it. There are technical issues, an oil leak at a compressor. They can't use it, period. It's unsafe to use. Meanwhile, Nord Stream 2 is sitting there completely idle, nothing going through it because Germany has refused to certify it. Let me remind you that Nord Stream 2 was not Russia's idea. It was Germany's idea. And at least half, I think more than half, of the investments that went into building it came from German investors, not Russian, German. And they're letting their own people go without it. This is where diplomacy comes in. There was a German politician, I forget who she is, but she said that, it doesn't matter how the German people suffer. They are going to continue to support Ukraine. Not force peace talks, not saying we're not sending you any more weapons, you need to sit down and talk. there was a massive, protest in Czechoslovakia. Estimates range from 70 to 100,000 people. And it was like, get out of NATO. In Paris, France, there was a massive protest. Get out of NATO. Do what's best for your own people. I mean, when you elect people into office, whatever country you're in, you are electing them to do what is best for your own people. Anyway, Biden just requested another, I think, $11.7 billion to go to Ukraine. Meanwhile, tensions continue rising with China over Taiwan. Ask yourself, who's benefiting from all of this? Because it's not you. Is it going to benefit you if we wind up in a war with Russia and China? Even the Pentagon did a series of over 40 hypothetical scenarios of us going to war with just China. But China, Russia, and Iran have a mutual defense agreement. So if we go to war with one, we're going to war with all three of them. And let me remind you how powerful Iran is. All they have to do is block the Strait of Hormuz, and all oil coming from Saudi Arabia and the UAE is blocked. It really doesn't take that much. So anyway, so that is proof of concept for diplomacy. On the electrical grid, recently, last week, California passed a law where they will stop selling any internal combustion vehicles, I think by 2030. The same week, they had to tell electrical vehicle owners not to charge their vehicles or to only slow charge their vehicles because of the strain on the electrical grid. Well, I've already put out my policy on stabilizing the electrical grid. And all right, so there's proof of concept there. It was CNBC that reported the poll of employers saying that 51% of them are laying off or going to be laying off people by the end of the year. Okay. Yeah. You know who doesn't lay off because of profits? Yeah, the federal government. Yeah. The Census Bureau, the 3.8 million American households. I have not yet. I'm still working on a housing policy, which will be coming. But I mean, this all ties into the economy. If people have an income, they wouldn't be getting kicked out of their houses. So if the federal government was creating jobs and employing people, they wouldn't be throwing people out onto the street that have no place to go. We already have at least, the last numbers I saw was that we had over 600,000 homeless in this country. So where my policy on eliminating the stock market, converting all stocks into bonds. Companies don't lay off because of their bonds. They lay off because of the stock market. Let me remind you that, first of all, before Reagan, it was illegal for companies to buy back their own stocks. Because it enables companies to manipulate their stock prices. But even with and Reagan changed that. But as even before Reagan, since the 1910s sometime, it has been U.S. federal law that the only, not primary, only concern of a corporation is to the stockholders. There have been a number of corporations that have tried making the concerns of the consumers and the workers and the environment their primary concern, and they got sued and lost by the shareholders. They got sued by the shareholders, and the corporation lost. They had to give up all of those other concerns. So when they start laying people off, it is because of their own profit concerns for the shareholders. And 80% of stocks are already owned by 10% of the population. And 80% of those are owned by the 0.1%. So they will lay workers off if their stock dividends or their stock value declines. That doesn't mean go into the negative. That doesn't mean that they're not getting paid dividends. It means that the dividends are not as high as they could be. That doesn't even mean that the dividends are not higher than they were last year. It just means not as high as they could be if they lay workers off. So again, who doesn't lay people off because of the shareholders? The federal government. And yet you keep people employed and the economy keeps functioning. And in fact, the corporations are still making profits, but all they can see is the right now. We need to look beyond the right now. A lot of people that are conservatives, they say they want the federal government to be smaller. Well, throw a location, a facility, or a program where the federal government, where they would be working for the federal government into their community that pays well. See how much they want a smaller government at that point. I mean, that's going on with the Space Command Center in Huntsville right now. People that work at jails, prisons, immigrant detainment facilities, building weapons. Do you think that this was like their life goal? No. And I've talked with a lot of these people, and what they say is it's a job. It's an income. So when you give them the choice, they're gonna go with having a job versus not having a job. And the capitalist system, the corporations, are not only not providing the jobs, they're taking away the jobs. They're reducing pay. They're limiting pay. So all of these things are proof of concept of my policies. I can show it in real time as it's happening. This isn't ego. I've put a lot of thought, observation, and consideration into each policy proposal that I have put forth. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I want to create jobs that help our communities, that help you. Because it is my genuine concern I don't have any ties to Wall Street, to these rich people that other so-called leaders put first and foremost. I don't want any ties like that. Anyway, again, proof of concept. You let me know if some other, candidate for office can actually do this and show you where this applies for their ideas. Because they really can't. All they have is talking points and ideology. I don't do talking points and ideology. Anyway, share this video. Talk about these subjects. Help expand awareness of this campaign. This is a grassroots campaign. I need your help. If you can, then please donate whatever you can to help expand awareness of this campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you very much. Have a good day.